الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا. بروفيسور أحمد، بروفيسور عبد الرحمن، حقيقة نشكر لكم هذا الاجتماع الجميل. And we will go ahead into research. We heard in the morning, you will hear daily, and you will be involved in your day-to-day activity into as we heard in the morning, craniotomies, excellent procedures, operation, that it is a technician work. If we do not involve our mind in adding to this, then it will be after 100 procedure, after 200 procedures, so what? I will come every day and repeat myself. So I have to have an aim. Of course, research in simple words, it depends on the discipline you are in. But simply, it is looking for a solution, a treatment, a new way of doing a thing. And this is in the medical literature. Now, definitely حتجلسوا مع بعض الناس هيقول لك والله لسه صغير، لما تخلص ريزيدنسي، لما ترجع مرة ثانية، لما تستقر في القسم ويكون لك دراع، بعدين أبدأ الريسيرش. But this is not true, because they want you to be away from the joy. If you like something, you really have to dive in. Now, research can be as simple as a small thing, and it can be a real heavy thing. Now, the more the research goes on and it's important, the more is complication, or it is complicated really in doing it. But the more is the things that you will enjoy at the end. في 1993, this was my first case report. At that time, it made my day. My name was on the international literature. But when I look at it now, I should put priorities. Is this what I really need? Of course not. Then we went ahead and do the other types of research, that is case series collection. But this again, I'm only collecting things, I'm not adding to the medical community. Then you start thinking, you have to work your mind. You have to think, how can I really help, as Professor Ahmed said, the community? How can I help the neurosurgery? By adding things, either as classification, or as a mode of treatment, or by involving the basic science. Of course, I'm a neurosurgeon, I should do surgeries, but I should not stop thinking. So I can merge basic with my clinical work. Now, we should think about that research should not stop in the drawer, and you should claim up to patents, and then patents should also go into research, and research can result into patents. So always aim, if you have an excellent idea, that before you talk to others, you write it down and say, can I patent this idea before I start and people take it from me? And one idea will bring another one, will bring another one, and then it will be your day-to-day joy. You will not stop doing it. And sometimes, definitely will be rewarded من Allah Azza wa Jal, and then by some organization. Now, it is really nice to be different in research, but I should know how different it is. And is it really nice to be different? Because we are limited by Shara. If we have a project that is outside our Islam, like this one, they are talking about using alcohol in the treatment of multiple sclerosis. Is this acceptable to us? So before now, it is acceptable. نتناقش ما في if ولا or ولا in ولا كل اللغة الإنجليزية نتناقش فيها بعد ما نخلص. So we should be really strict. We have a square that we should not go out of it, and I insist. Our ethics دائما بنسمع احنا international research ethics, medical ethics. لكن إحنا عندنا our ethics. We have our Islam rules ethics. This was an example, لكن سخن الموضوع شوي. So it is not complicated. We should really look into research that it is our hobby every day. So let's go and see practically. How do we look at research? Of course, you should start by thinking. If you don't think, you don't have research. So I should think on what, how, who, where, and so forth. Now, the first step is what I would like to research into. And I will take you into one of the researches that is actively now, وهذه كانت جزاه الله خير البروف أحمد في الصبح قسمنا إلى الجزء الأول الذين يتكلمون عما فعلوا، والجزء الثاني الذين سوف يتكلمون عما سيفعلوا. But here I want to say that what are we doing right now? So this is the research that we are going into now. As a specialty, neurovascular, endovascular, I'm interested in subarachnoid hemorrhage. And I'm interested at the vasospasm that appears after subarachnoid hemorrhage. And it's not only because we do angiogram and we find the spasm, but because the blood vessels get narrowed, then the blood flow gets decreased, and this can lead to neurological deficit at the end, ischemia, infarction. So, this is one thing. We have a project that I would like to look into, but I have to put variables so that from my variables I can know what to study. So, would I like to study it on human, or I want to start from the basic and start an animal-based research? Do I want to have a clinical cases of ischemia, or I will only be satisfied by having a radiological vasospasm? My new method, my new addition to the literature, will it be in the surgical, endovascular, or is it a medically given tablet, infusion, and so forth? So, once you have this an idea, so I have to put simple, clear words, clear for me, clear for the others who will work with me, as a hypothesis. So what we have put? We've put that we are working on a naturally occurring compound that is mentioned in الطب النبوي, prophetic medicine. This is supposed to prevent or effectively reverse cerebral vasospasm, which is secondary to aneurysmal subarachnoid hemorrhage. So my hypothesis is very clear. I have a compound. This compound is مذكورة في الطب النبوي, and I would like to study what? Not any type of subarachnoid, but specifically aneurysmal subarachnoid hemorrhage. So this is just the start. Now we have to go to books, literature, ask experience about this compound and utilization in vasospasm. Was it studied before? If yes, in what direction was it studied, so I can do the other direction? Or it was not studied at all, so we will start it. So you look at your hypothesis very critically, all the points in it, and start searching about the information, present or absent. We passed this, and we found that this idea, bi'idhnillah, brilliant, not used before. So we have to put a design. Would you like to do an animal-based or a human-based study? We have, in general, some types of experimental design. So the pre-experimental design is just you collect cases. Those who are coming to the emergency room, subarachnoid hemorrhage, develop vasospasm, and then you just put them for the proposed treatment. And the same is for animal-based. Or a quasi-experimental design. And design. But the best one, of course it is a more prolonged design, is a true experimental that is controlled and ما هي blind تقسمهم كده segregation randomized. So it is controlled, randomized clinical trials. Of course, you cannot apply randomization to clinical studies in human for certain ethical points. We can discuss it later. طيب. I have chosen my hypothesis, I have put my variables, I have put the design of the study I would like to go through. So practically, I have to standardize the method. Let's say, this compound which we are studying, T-in-1, has more than one named as active ingredient or active component. Do I want to study one active component or the whole compound as a synergistic effect? So this has to be standardized for all your sample. The concentration of this compound, the formulation, dose, the route, is it intral or parenteral? The duration. So if you want to compare, you have to compare the same sample of given compounds. Now again, the sample of those you will apply on, that is collecting your study sample. It's either the simple random or stratified. Simple random, all those who are coming with subarachnoid hemorrhage. Stratified, then we stratify them into ages or into clinical only or clinical, radiological, and so forth. So you have to identify your sample. You started your experiment, started to have results, and then you will write up your results. The most important is the statistical studies that you will apply on your results. Having the statistical numbers is not a problem in difficulty nowadays by using the programs. Excel can do it for you, SSPE can do it for you. But of more importance is, what does it mean when I have 0.5% of so-and-so is effective? Is it really effective or it's not? So you have to analyze the results and the figures that you will have from your research. Now you have chosen your hypothesis, variables, study design, the sample, and so forth. And you started writing up all of these. Either writing it up as you can share it as a paper, you can share it as application for funding, or you can share it as, for example, a thesis proposal. So, financial support is an important issue that you may face, or you may have it as an obstacle for most of the real scientific researches or projects. So if you were refused to have this proposal supported, it's not the end of the world, but you have to think that you started something. Now, I have an example of my own. في 1999, when I started my fellowship in endovascular, the main thing was, well, Dr. Bassem, the main thing were the GBC, coils. But I start thinking, well, coil, you have to put one after another, after a third. You cannot use it in all aneurysms. Wide neck, they will bulge out. So I start talking to my supervisor about an idea. I said, instead of having it as a coil, single one, I want to have it as a balloon, but coils that will come and be open into the aneurysm. So I said, والله يعني بتحلم شوية بس بالياباني هذا. Nowadays we are talking about the whip coiling after 99 إلى الآن. So this does not disappoint me, but this tells me that I really have ideas that are hatching. I need to look carefully with whom I should talk for support scientifically and support for a financial work. أنا أعتقد إنه this is my end, and I can suggest for you that في جامعة طيبة في عندنا كراسي علمية. أحد الكراسي العلمية هو كرسي المعلم محمد عوض بن لادن لأبحاث الطب النبوي. بنستقبل أبحاث بندعمها وبنبدأ العمل فيها مع الأفكار كامل الدعم المادي. فأي واحد مهتم إنه يعمل neurosurgical research that can be taken from the idea من الطب النبوي أهلا وسهلا فيه. جزاكم الله خير.